Hey everyone, this is Spencer Bonin and Balwinder Marwaha coming at you again with another video all about how to release your expectations. And we're brought to obviously bringing it to you from Unlocking You 2.0. And today is our topic is all about checking your premise. And what exactly does that mean? And consciously, how can we check our premise, Valley?
So thank you very much for that, Spencer. I glanced down and I was like, "Hey, where's our topic today?" Um, but that's okay. So we're talking about checking your premise, and basically, this is it's interesting because again, when it comes down to expectations, a lot of it's in our mind. In fact, all of it is in our mind. We control it. So checking our premise, really, what that means is that do a self check. What are your thoughts telling you? So if you're the person that's like, oh man, I gotta go to the grocery store, it's so busy. Well, if you go to the grocery store on Saturday afternoons, of course it's going to be busy. That's when most people have time and they're doing their shopping, right? So
Yeah.
if you're going in with that expectation that, that, oh God, I don't want to do this, it's going to be busy at the grocery store and there's so many people. Well, you have to just understand that that's the way it is and that's
Mm,
reality. And just, you know what? Don't, that's what it is. You can't control it. So why have that expectation or why put that in your mind that, oh,
mm,
I don't want to do this or I don't, that's the reality. If it really bothers you that much, then go to the grocery store on a weeknight when it's not busy. You may not be able to do that because you have kids to put to bed or things like that. So really, here's the thing: is what we do is we create these thoughts in our mind, and we say that, oh man, it's this is what always happens, or this is the way it is. Well, if that's what you put into your mind, then that's what's going to happen. So if for example you're going out for dinner and it's your kid's favorite place to go, but you don't like the food there because every time you've gone it doesn't taste good. So if you set this expectation that, man, I don't want to go to that place, but I'm going to go because the kids like it, and like I'm thinking Chuck E. Cheese off the top of my head. Yeah, I don't know
of
how many of you
course.
can relate to Chuck E. Cheese, but the kids love going there. Um, the food there, not so much, right? But the reality is that if you go with the expectation that, oh my God, every time I go there, it's like I come back with like this headache, and you've put the expectation in place, and you've
Mm,
said that it's okay for me to have a headache when I go there. It's okay for me to not have a good time when I go there, but I'm just going to do this for my kids. Rather than just go there and say, hey, I'm excited. My kids are going to have fun. Let's just be focused on the situation, what we're doing, rather than the expected results or the expected aftermath. So, checking our premise is a lot about just really staying in the moment and not having predetermined or prefixed thoughts about or expectations about what we're going to do or where we're going to go or what's going to happen. Because a lot of this stuff is out of your control. The fact that it's really loud at Chuck E. Cheese and there's hundreds of screaming kids, you can't control that. But if
yeah.
you go in with the thought that, oh my God, I'm going to have this headache, so all these screaming kids, yeah, then, well, you've set that expectation for yourself. You've
Yeah.
given your body the permission to say, it's okay for you to feel like garbage after you go to Chuck E. Cheese with your kids.
Yeah.
Um, but that's in your control. You can change your thought, you can change your expectation. You can really just check your premise and say, hey, that's what it is. I can't control it. But you know what? I'm going to do this anyways. End of story. So with that said, Spencer, easy enough to say that and say, hey, I'm just going to go in there and it is what it is, and let's just go with it. Um,
Yeah.
what happens? What happens when we try to do that?
Absolutely. And there's consciously totally it makes a lot of sense to be able to help consciously switch that thing before you go in there because really,
Mhm.
what just like Henry Ford said has or Henry Ford says, whether you think you can, you think you can't, either way you're right. So if you're thinking that's going to be the way it is, that's the way it's going to be. Now, but what's really, really awesome with the emotion code and body code, subconsciously there are imbalances there for sure. They're 100%
Mhm.
like guaranteed there's some sort of imbalance. But
Yeah.
the paradigm shift I kind of want to talk about right now is And it's something that Dr. Brad says as well. But instead of thinking of like, oh, that's just how it is, that's the way it's going to be, or,
Mm.
you know, that's just the way I am, and accepting these things for the way they are,
Yeah.
instead of having that mentality, switch into the mentality of being a professional symptom seeker. In the body code, that's what we really, really like to look for. And because it's just so incredibly helpful. And the reason I say this and the way I define this is a symptom is something that you want or would be beneficial to change. So that's what a symptom would be. And the
Mm.
thing with that is Dr. Brad himself, quote directly from him, anything that you want to change is nothing more than an energetic imbalance of way. And this is the kind of way we need to start thinking about these different things. If there's something that we don't like to do, if there's something that brings up this negative emotion, if there's something that we're dreading, if
Mhm.
all this stuff, those are all symptoms and you would prefer not to feel that way. So let's address it with an emotion code or body code session. Now, with this whole that's just how it is kind of mentality, there's a couple of things that a couple of energies that I would suggest are probably going to be showing up or present there. We've talked about them before. There's will tos and no will tos. So, just for example, just kind of picture this in your mind and maybe ask yourself, do I have that?
Yeah.
There's will to give up or give in energies. There's will to
Yeah.
be victims energies or will to be a victim. I know some people really don't want to hear that, but sometimes, we got to take responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Will to be rescued. How many people out there like feel like they have to have the aid of someone else to come help them with whatever they're doing, right? A will to hold on. You have this idea that you just can't let go of. A will to hold on energy.
Mm.
A will to be right. Like you have to be right. You always have to be the person who says the right thing. It's just being self-aware and noticing that these things could be there, and it's just what comes up during a session, right? You
Yes.
might not even know that it's there, and that's okay. That's why us body code and emotion code practitioners are here. We're here to help.
Yeah.
Now on the same side, there's no will to energies. You could have a no will to change or transform. You might have a no will to move forward energy. You might, and in the same token as the will to hold on, you might have a no will to let go.
Yeah.
So from a previous experience or whatever it is, or to let go of that negativity, you might have a no will to take responsibility energy or acknowledge or see, or no will to hear or listen energy, which we've talked about before. Like there's lots of these different things. Now, one thing that's I do want to talk about, because I don't think we've talked about this as at all before in this Unlocking You 2.0, and that is saboteurs. So think about this. So saboteurs, we actually have these things in our bodies, that are kind of like an energetic something. It's like an energetic weapon, an energetic mechanism of control, or an energetic wound of some kind, where it's basically from another person or from someone really, really negative as the result of really negative thoughts. So technically we don't really give them to ourselves, but they can be there. And sometimes, more often than not, these mechanisms of control, energetic saboteurs, things, just picture in your mind, maybe you have some shackles around your wrist. Maybe you have some ropes. Maybe you have some shackles or chains around your feet, so you feel like you can't move forward. I actually had a client that had this kind of energy attached to her, and going through this, before, she wasn't able to walk upstairs for like 2 weeks, and then it's like boom, we got rid of those shackles, and it's like all of a sudden, oh, I can run up the stairs. I haven't been able to I haven't been able to walk up the stairs in weeks. So
Yeah.
that to that, like it's incredible the differences you can have. And especially just, if you're chained to the idea of that's just how it is, let's figure it out. Let's try to find out. Let's do an emotion code session. Let's do a body code session and find out what's going on in there. So that's kind of what's going on subconsciously, aside from multiple other things that could be going on.
Yes.
But is there anything else that you'd like to add to that, Bally?
The thought, one thing that just came up to me, and then we'll end this off here for you all,
Hmm.
is that the we tend to complain a lot. Is natural human instinct is we tend to complain a lot, and we pick that up from others, or we do it for some reason, and we'll complain about. But these complaints actually turn into expectations, And so they're very, very well tied together. So if you find yourself complaining or being a victim, as Spencer mentioned, or whining a little bit, there's something there. Either there's an energetic imbalance, but you really need to get out of that thought process, and you really need to get away from that, because
Yeah.
once you shift from that, your life will change. The way you
Yeah.
see the world will absolutely change. So with that said, if you really like what we talk about, this resonates with you, you enjoy it, please like, comment, and share. But most importantly, um, we can help you further. And there's two ways we can do that. Number one is you can connect with either Spencer or myself, and we will offer you a complimentary emotion code body code session or a coaching session, a coaching call, and just really help you get some focus or clarity, or work out whatever problem you may have. Okay. We want to help you solve your problems. So that's one way. The other way is check out this website. It is insideoutcoachingprogram.com. From there, you can see a couple of cool videos that will give you a really good idea of what we do. Though you have a good idea of what we do, we combine the conscious and the subconscious and really clear things up. Aside from that, tonight, I'm super pumped about this. We have an amazing webinar. It's really going to help you figure out what all of your problems were, not just in 2020, but in your entire life, and how we can fix those problems. So whether that's a relationship, whether that's your finances, whether it's career, whatever it may be, we have an answer for you. And tonight, this webinar is at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 2020recoverymanual.com. You need to go and register for a spot. Space does get filled up. And this week, our webinar is going to be crazy, because we're going to be talking about some crazy problems and how to fix those problems. And
Yeah.
so you really want to be there. With that said, thank you very much, everybody. We will be back tomorrow with day 5.